Hi everyone, my name's James.
I'm Jessica, this is Olive.
And welcome to Ballet Express.
Today we are going to be working on our feet. This is a highly requested video. A lot of people have been asking about this video. Thank you for being patient, but before we get into it, we have a special thanks, because you might notice we are in a different environment.
We would like to thank Kate, so a big shout out to you Kate for letting us use your beautiful studio. Kate is from the Dance Melbourne dance school, which she owns and teaches, and because no one is here currently, we are able to use it.
If you want to know more about this amazing studio, links will be down below to her website and also to all her socials if you will be interested. Really amazing person. Thank you again, Kate.
Thank you.
Now, let's get started with our video. Today, we are going to be doing our foot exercises. This has been a highly requested video. Thank you for being patient. And these are the things that you are going to need for this video.
A golf ball. A theory. And a foam mat, or you can alternatively use a pillow as I mentioned in our last video. So watch that if you haven't already.
So before we get started, of course, we have to warm up our feet. So let's take it away. Okay, now that we got our shoes off, let's get started. So a nice thing that we like to do is just roll our ankles around like this.
I want to do this too. Okay.
So we're rolling our ankles. Hopefully Olive is not in the way. Come sit here, Olive. So you can go inwards, maybe 8 times, 10 times, whatever you feel. And then you go the other way. Nice big circles just to mobilize that ankle, because when we are doing these exercises, we're not just going to be concentrating on our feet, we are also going to be concentrating on our ankles, because that is going to help you with your point work, with even improving your foot mobility. It's going to help you with that. So when you're ready, you can change to the other side. And if you really feel like here in Melbourne it's quite a chilly day, you can see what dress quite warmy, you can just rub your toes, rub your feet. You might feel a nice little stretch. Get those toes nice and warm. Then, this is where you are going to need your golf ball. If you don't have a golf ball, you can use anything that is quite hard.
It's very important to roll out your muscles in your feet before you do any kind of stretching or even exercises. Really get deep into those muscles, especially the muscle, this one, that helps move your big toe. It points and flexes your big toe. So it's very important to loosen that muscle so that you can get the best range of motion when you are pointing your foot. Not just that muscle that flexes your big toe, also in your heel, all the little muscles in your feet. This is a very personal experience because everyone is different, and how I would spend the amount of time working on my feet and for you is very different. For me, my left foot is really tight. You can see it's getting locked in the ball there. Just spend as much as you need. And hopefully Your feet are not going to be sore after this because you don't want that to happen. You just want them to be nice and loose underneath your feet.
So all you're going to do is go up onto your demi pointe, and you're just going to change, walking over. Make sure you're not sickling your foot, really keep it in that alignment, and just walk about 8 times. So just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. One more. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8.
I'm back.
Alright, let's move on to stretching your feet. This is not something I really tend to do. I find it hurts me, but not in the good stretching way. So I don't really stretch my feet, but James has a lot of experience with stretching his feet.
So stretching your feet is interesting. If you have good feet, I wouldn't recommend stretching your feet. If you have feet that need work, like mine did, I needed to do a lot of stretching and a lot of mobilizing and strengthening. Strengthening is the most important part, and that is why we strengthen our feet.
But if you do want to do a couple of stretching exercises, we recommend a foot stretcher. But if you don't have a foot stretcher around, you can actually use your own body. So if you do not have a foot stretcher, a nice thing you can do is use a roller. And then what you do, you place it under your knees and you sit down onto your heels. And this is going to stretch your ankles over here.
While doing this, we need to make sure our ankle alignment is exactly straight through our foot. If it's sickled inwards or outwards, you can actually cause an injury.
And you'll overstretch the wrong muscle. So what I would suggest is try keeping your heels together. Try not have this position. Keep your heels together. And you can hold that for about how long, James? Do you recommend?
I'd recommend a good 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, just hold it. Maybe you can repeat it about 3 times, holding it for 30 seconds to a minute. Another thing you can do if you have a lovely brother or sister or parents at home that would like to help you, James is going to show you, using my feet, what we can do.
Okay, so all we need to do is you need to make sure you're keeping that alignment and making sure that the knee is not
Hyperextended.
making sure the knee is not hyperextended or bent too much. We need to make sure that it's a nice alignment, and our good alignment is going to establish a good stretching position. So you take that and you pull out the foot a little bit and you push downwards over here. So not on the toes, right in.
So I would say between your arch, this nice bone that you have here, and between your toe joints, that is the section you're going to push down.
Now we need to do this gently so that we don't hurt anyone.
Yes. Never ever push it where it feels like the person is going to scream with pain. That's not good.
And never do it when it's, don't ever snap it down. So no quick movement.
Nice
Gentle,
and gently.
slow, and controlled.
I'm very lucky to have James to help me with this when I do stretch. See, I'm feeling quite a bit of pain. As you can see, my knee is quite relaxed. I'm not straining my knee, I'm not using any of these muscles. It's just my foot that is stretching.
How does that feel?
Not very pleasant, I'll be honest.
Okay. And then, doing that, we need to make sure that the ankle is warm. So before you do any kind of stretching and stuff, you need to make sure that you are warm to be able to stretch.
That's why I like to wear dance booties before I do class or before I do any exercises for my feet or ankles, because it really keeps it warm. We're very blessed nowadays to have these booties.
So point your foot. Wow, that is really nice. See that line that you get from the arch continues going out. We're trying to avoid going in like this into a little crunch up position. It's not very, doesn't look very nice when you have a...
And also, if you're on points, think about it on points, that's, you're going to roll over like this, or you're going to get a knuckle.
You don't want to dance on your knuckles.
No. So this, you could also try and do it by yourself, just gently pushing. If you don't have a brother or a sister or anyone, you can just gently stretch it yourself. But I find having a partner is quite useful.
The way to do it yourself is to put your forearm underneath your heel and wrap your hand around one side, and then take the other side, and keeping that alignment, we're going to push, as in we're going to pull our head inwards. Exactly the same thing that you would do if someone was doing it for you. You're just going to pull like that gently, gently, gently. Now this is something you have to repeat day in, day out, after being warmed up and then doing exercises, which we're going to go into right now.
So we are moving on to our TheraBand. If you saw our previous video where James explained the different strengths of TheraBands, take whichever strength is good for you. You don't want too weak because then it's not going to be effective enough, and you don't want too strong because then it's also not going to do anything. So you want to find the strength that's perfect for what you can do. Try not to be over ambitious. Okay, so now that we have our socks off, you take the TheraBand and you put your toes in it. I kind of touched on this in my warm-up routine video, but now we're going to go into a little bit more depth. Okay, so I like to, as I mentioned, put my ankle underneath my knee just so that I'm not using my quad muscle to actually do the work. I want my ankle, all the muscles in my lower leg and my ankle and my foot to be doing the work. All you're going to do, keeping the same alignment that James spoke about, your knee in line with your ankle, in line with your second toe joint. So you're going to go, use your ankle, point your ankle, demi-point, point, demi-point, and flex. And you can see my ankle shakes a little bit when I am coming up. That's okay, you want to try avoid that as much as possible.
So do it one more time and then explain. As you go down, you're going to try to spread your toes out as far as possible, and then point, having a very nice extended line, so no crunching your toes. And coming back, you're going to come back and spread your toes out, coming back, and then flex. Now try to keep that spread out as much as possible, because this is going to be our grip on the ground.
So demi-point, through all our toes, point, demi-point, and flex. So this is 3. Let's go to number 4. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can see I'm getting a little bit tired. And 10. Then we are going to reverse the whole sequence. So you're going to do the beginning the same, demi-point and point. And now when you come up, you are going to keep that point without changing your foot alignment, and then flex your toes. Also 10 times. Then the last thing you're going to do with this little sequence is you're just going to do your toes. So you're going to go back into this demi point position and you're just going to point and flex only your toes. We're going to do 15. So it goes and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I can feel all these muscles are actually really burning. So then we would move on to the other side, but I feel you'll be able to do this at home if you'd like to do that. Plus, I have horrible looking toes from my ballet career and I'm a little bit ashamed of how my other foot looks, so I don't want you to see that foot. Next thing we are going to move on to is our intrinsic muscles. So this is something that I find is very, very good and really helps strengthen your feet. Ever since I started doing these exercises, my foot actually really improved and I could point a lot nicer. So I like to wake these muscles up first, and that is where heel row John comes in. And I think James can demonstrate how to use heel row John.
Okay, I did actually demonstrate it in the last video.
But let's just remind them in case they haven't. James is going to give you a couple of extra tips, not just balancing, but you can try a few different other ways to build up. So you always start easy and then increase the level.
So all we're going to do is we are going to balance on one leg on our mat. Now you can do this for as long as you can, and as soon as it starts burning a lot, step off, relax, try not to stretch anything out because you will have just built up a whole lot of little strength underneath your foot and in your calf and your leg. So as soon as you stretch, you're going to lose all of that. So you just keep balancing until you can't anymore, maybe a minute, 2 minutes. Every day you can build it up a little bit more, and a little bit more. As I said in the last video, if you didn't watch it, all we're going to do is you can create a difference when you do the exercise. So you can take your foot out and you can do a whole bunch of different actions while your leg is balancing to kind of create more instability so that your ankle is working more. Turning sideways, I'm just going to balance, making sure that my ear or the middle of my head is in alignment with my shoulders, my hips and my foot. Okay, so all we're going to do is take our leg forward and bend our bottom supporting leg at the same time. So we're going to bend one and up. I'm going to go backwards with maybe a little bit of turnaround. And that is the first set of exercises as well, it's actually burning a little. The next step after we've done that is we are going to take it from a parallel position into a turnout. Now if you have an amazing turnout, you can do this at 180 degrees, but I don't have that naturally, so I have to work slightly less. But I would hold my position just like I would at bar. So a nice first position, and you do exactly the same thing in a turnout position. So maintaining your hip alignment, looking at that, actually can't go back here. And then sideways. So we're just going to repeat that 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times. And you should have built up a lot of strength.
Now that your intrinsic muscles are woken up, you should be ready to use your TheraBand. And I would recommend using a red or a yellow TheraBand, a really weak one, because this exercise is actually really, really strenuous. So let's get right to it. So what you're going to do, you're going to take the TheraBand and you're going to fold it in half 2 times. So once and twice. Now this is an extremely tedious exercise. It will take me about 45 minutes to do this exercise. So I'm just going to show you briefly on each toe. And you can do this, a good time to do it is watching TV. I know I enjoy my Grey's Anatomy, and that's when I usually do this exercise. So once you have folded your TheraBand, you are going to take it and you're going to start with your big toe.
So first thing you're going to do is loop it around your big toe, then pull it tight, or as tight as you can, and at a slight angle, also spreading all your toes on the floor. My baby toe is a little bit funny, it's never touched the floor. Then you're going to pull the TheraBand at a slight diagonal and push your toe down towards the floor. Hold that for about 5 to 10 seconds. Now I'm just going to show you a couple of times, and you're going to do this 10 times. Also make sure that your other toes are still spreading along the floor. You don't want to crunch your other toes. Let's move on to my funky little baby toe. Looping it around. And the same thing, you're going to pull it at a slight diagonal, and you are going to try and pull your baby toe inwards towards your second last toe, as well as down towards the floor. My baby toe on my right foot is pretty weak, so I'm not very good at this, but believe it or not, it's actually improved. When I first started this, I couldn't even activate my baby toe. So really make sure you squeeze it in and down to the floor, still spreading all your other toes. Same thing, hold it down for 5 to 10 seconds. Repeat that 10 times. I like to go after that to my second toe. And this time you're just going to hold it directly above, still spreading all your other toes, and then pull that toe down towards the floor and hold it there for 5 to 10 seconds. And then release. Just isolating each toe as you go along. Like I said, this is a very, very tedious exercise and it can be quite boring. That's why it's best to watch something or listen to music and do this exercise. Onto my second last toe. This one you're going to do a little bit similar to your baby toe, where you're going to pull it at a slight angle and then pull it inwards and down towards the floor, making sure you're holding it for about 5 to 10 seconds. I would recommend starting off with 5 seconds if you don't have the strength to do it. And once you've built that strength, then you can up the level to holding it for 10 seconds, 10 times. Still making sure that your knee and your foot is in alignment, like James explained earlier, in line with your second toe. And then finally moving on to the very middle toe and repeating it like you did with your second toe, where you are going to just pull down directly towards the floor. And pulling down, making sure that your second toe is not crunching. You have to keep that toe nice and long, because if you're crunching it, you're not going to be using the other toe that you are actually supposed to be isolating. You're going to be working the wrong toe. And that's that.
So now we're going to move on to strengthening our ankles. This can help with point work, it can help with general jumping, it can help with ankle stability, and all we're going to do is take a TheraBand and wrap it around the bar. Okay, so we've just tied this to the bar, just something that's really, really strong and not going anywhere. It can be a table leg, anything. You are going to take the flat part, put your foot inside of it, so that we can have a broad, nice resistance. Now you want to take this and keep a nice parallel alignment with your leg, so your knee, your ankle and your toe is going to be in alignment. And all you're going to do is create tension by moving yourself either inwards or outwards, depending on how strong you are. Then what you're going to do is you are going to keep your foot flexed and pull your ankle inwards into a sickle. That's all. And you're going to do that 10 times. Okay, now I'm going to use the other foot for demonstration, but we wrap it around exactly the same. So you would do this you would do inwards and outwards for both ankles, and we go outwards, then you go outwards. Second step, after you've done that on both sides, inside and outside, 10 times, 3 sets, you will then do it with a pointed foot.
So make sure that your knee is in line with your ankle, and as you sickle and come back, you make sure that you're going back to a neutral position so you don't pull too much to one side. I know it looks funny, it's a sickle, but it's just a strengthening process. It's something that we need to do as dancers. Now we point our foot and we use eversion. So we go from a center alignment outside and back in with your ankle. Different people will have different or varying degrees of flexibility here to go outwards or sickle your foot outwards. But it is a really good thing to strengthen your muscles on both sides of your legs.
Then what we do is stand up and you wrap it around your heel and your ankle. Then all we do is we do calf rises.
So the reason we do calf rises with a TheraBand wrapped around is a very simple concept. It adds an extra element of instability or another element of pull medially, so that as we're rising, we can get stronger in the one side. Just like we did with putting the TheraBand on the top of our toe, putting it there is going to create strength around our ankle and make that strong for the future, especially good for our pirouettes and jumps. Now I have wrapped this around the outside because I had it tied to the bar. I just want to show you how it looks on both sides, but you need to do this both inside and outside of each foot or each ankle to create a good balance so that we can find a really nice rise or releve when we're dancing. Very, very important stuff.
So you do that with both your left and your right foot inside and outside. So those are some of the exercises that we do every day to build some strength in our ankles. But there is one more thing that we do.
We are going to move on to a little tendu exercise to help strengthen those feet. If you would like to watch that exercise, please tune in to our Patreon page, where you will be able to watch more videos like this, where we put a lot of these things into practice. work slowly so that we can really improve our technique. We hope that these exercises help you, and I recommend doing these exercises at least 3 times a week if you can every single day, but sometimes there's just not enough time in a day to do everything to help strengthen our body as well as keep in shape. So 3 times a week is recommended.
We hope you've had lots of fun. If you enjoyed the video, please like it, subscribe, share it around, and we'll see you next time.